Hi, and welcome back to Heart to Heartland. It's me, Soile here. And yeah, this is probably a bit different start for an episode. I mean, you are probably getting ready to jam along to the theme song, but this episode will not have a theme song, and I will explain to you why in a minute. But yeah, this episode will be a little bit different. In fact, this will be the season 1 finale of Heart to Heartland. And I mean, I would say 60 episodes, around number. That's a nice run, right? But yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I wasn't even aware that there is a season 1 of Heart to Heartland. I mean, I knew there were episodes, but this whole thing sort of came to me after Isabel left. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about that in the future of this podcast. In fact, this whole episode will be about that. So there will be no updates or any sort of Heartland talk, in fact. So if you're not interested in that, just skip till the end and you'll hear kind of a summary of this whole thing. Yeah, today's going to be a bit of a heart to heart, if you will. If you're new here and this is your first episode listening, hi. I'm gonna tell a little bit about history, and the people who have listened since the start will know this, but maybe I will give you a little bit more insight into what this whole podcast has been about and, you know, how it has been making this. Well, first of all, a little over a year ago, I started this podcast with a fellow fangirl friend, Isabel, and before this whole thing happened, I never thought about making a podcast myself. But every time me and Izzy were sort of talking about Heartland or speculating or whatever, we kind of kept joking like, oh, we should turn this into a podcast, right? And then after a while, we were kind of like, should we? This was the spring of 2021, and we finally decided, like, why don't we just give it a try, see what people say? I mean, if no one listens, then we'll just, not continue or continue, like, whatever we feel like after that. And at this time, we were staying home a lot, trying not to get COVID or, just avoiding people in general. I mean, I didn't even see my friends or barely saw my family. I live alone. I have no pets and I had no quarantine buddies or anything like that. So I was pretty much alone a lot, which was, I'm kind of used to it. But when this became kind of a weekly thing, or the idea was to publish on a weekly basis, it was kind of exciting because it was like hanging out with Izzy, and we would get to talk about Heartland, which it just felt like the perfect thing. And if you don't know, Isabel lives in Canada and I live in Finland, so us hanging out, it's kind of impossible in many ways for most of the time. So the fact that Zoom kind of offered us this opportunity to hang out was just amazing and one of the best things to come out of this whole time period. So what started out as a simple weekly hangout with a friend turned into a proper podcast. And we took turns editing and giving each other time to kind of live between the episodes and fell into this routine. And eventually the community around us grew, and it was nice to see people participating and listening, and it was so much fun. Around the time we had the podcast for a year, Isabel's health situation took a turn, and this is no secret, but I'm just kind of trying to recap everything that has been happening. She loved doing the podcast and was doing it whenever she felt up for it, and I was understanding because you can't do something if your body is against it. And so we took weeks off sometimes, or I did solo podcasts, and I was nervous at it at first kind of like, I don't know, like, will it feel weird? But I proved myself that I could do them. So it was kind of nice to see, because I knew that until the situation with Izzy's health will be solved, that's gonna keep happening more, and I'm gonna have to figure something out. But overall, I still prefer to do the podcast with someone else, and preferably Isabel. So it was always kind of this hope that we would be able to continue to do this together. And because in a way, the whole podcast was built around that interaction and relationship between us. So it almost felt like I couldn't do this without her, even though I could, but you know what I'm saying. So when Isabel told me that she would step down from the podcast, I was of course sad, but I also felt like this would not be the end of the podcast, especially with season 16 approaching. But I also knew that there was this whole summer to kind of fill in before that. So I was trying to think what we would, or I would do with all that time. And last year we did a themed episode, so it was kind of easy, even though we did a lot of research and preparations for it. But I feel like the real magic happened between us when we freestyled around those informative parts. So when I realized I was going to be alone this whole summer, entertaining you guys and editing every week, I sort of realized it was not going to be as easy as doing a random solo episode here and there. So I gave myself a couple of weeks to think about what I do. Would I quit the podcast or keep going and possibly not liking what I'm putting out because it's sort of rushed? But I also knew that that would make me more stressed because I want to put out only stuff I'm proud of, or even at least sort of proud of. So I needed some time to kind of process all of this while still doing the normal stuff. But I also felt like all of this was just like too much all at once. And I felt myself thinking that, doing this throughout the summer, all the preparation and research and everything like that, and sort of try to find a way to entertain all of you would almost become this burden, if that makes sense, and isolate myself. I mean, if you're watching the video, you can see the sun shining on me right now. So even right now, it's like sunny outside, and I'm doing this inside. So I'm sort of taking time for my personal time to do this. So I really had to think it through, like, what do I want to do? As I was trying to kind of fit in schedule around the podcast, because I need a sort of couple of hours after work to film this, and then I will edit it some other day, and to fit all of that with my normal life, especially now that things are getting more normal and I'm starting to do all those things that I've been kind of holding back for 2 years now. I sort of realized that I was steering myself into a possible burnout. So let me explain a little bit more. So first of all, now that Isabel is no longer part of the podcast, I need to kind of revamp a few things around here, because we are together in the theme song, or like the theme trailer, whatever you call it. We're in the artwork, and things like that. The whole concept, like she had her things and I had mine, and they sort of created the whole episode together. But now it's kind of lopsided with just my parts. So that's the first thing I'm gonna start working on, the new concept in a way. I did think about like what if I would have a new co-host, but the problem with that is podcasting weekly is a huge commitment. One Izzy and I decided to make when we started. And secondly, I live in Finland, like I said, so working around those time zones has sometimes been hard with even with the two of us, let alone when there's like three people or even more. Thankfully, Izzy and I were able to make it work, as she was so flexible with me and the hours I had outside my job. And speaking of my job, I sit on a computer for like 7 hours a day. So imagine myself sitting more after work, like I'm doing right now, and then going off to work, then coming back home and editing and like this is the weekly cycle that I would be doing every week. I'm terrified for my body because I'm not getting any younger and my joints are already cracking and you know, I mean, I could find an editor, but I don't want to spend money on that, but at the same time I don't want to make anyone work for free. So that's kind of the problem. And I also want to be kind of hands-on with the editing because this is, my podcast and I want to make it look like me and know which parts to put in and whatnot. And so I sort of realized that I have to treat this podcast as something that's more like a TV production when it comes to the themed episodes. So what I mean by that is that when TV shows film, they film them in like chunks. And then when it's all done, they start editing and, start putting it all out. For example, if I would have a guest and it would get canceled, I would have to come up with a new guest or do a solo podcast. But I can see that creating more stress for me. So I want to be prepared for that. So I'm thinking that I will start filming things in more advance and then putting things out when I feel like I have material to put out. So what I've kind of decided is that I'm taking the summer off to plan the next phase of this podcast. But this doesn't mean that I'm ending the podcast, just that it's changing a little bit and I need time. So I want to start from the scratch, but at the same time, try to reinvent what we've already created, but make it more as a solo project. Hard to explain. So what's gonna happen is that the season 2 of Heart to Heartland is gonna start in the fall, and I will be doing fan guests, and then episode recaps, updates, all of that. All of the things you already know. I know that I will be holding on to those, but I just need to approach them a little bit different. So if you see me posting question posts on our Instagram, um, just know that it's for the future themed episodes, and I would appreciate if you would take part by commenting on them. So when I'm ready to film those episodes, I have something ready to go. And I know that on top of those like episode recaps and themed episodes with fan guests, I have few personal stories I want to tell. So yeah, I think there's still a lot that I can put out, but I just need to find a new way to do it. I mean, it's gonna be still the same, same kind of thing, but the approach will be a little bit different. So if Izzy was still here with me hosting this podcast, we'd probably be talking about um, the the photos and videos they're putting out right now from the set, like speculating away and uh, wanting wanting you to take part of that as well. And that was one of those things that I was like, but this is one of the best times to be in the fandom, like when they're filming and we get to speculate and everything. So I was trying to think, what could I still do while still not doing this much work? So I came to think of this concept. Instagram's pretty easy to use for that. I wasn't sure if I would be ready to commit on a weekly live thing. So I decided that I would do this thing called Summer Speculation, SOS for short. So you're not going to get rid of me altogether. If you're watching this from YouTube, I will go a little bit quiet. But if you have Instagram, please do follow H2HL podcast, because that's where I'll be posting season 16 stuff and speculation, and I will make videos sometimes, maybe lives, who knows. I'll try to keep it active but also light, that I will have time to enjoy the summer and also work on the new stuff that I will be bringing you this fall. So I hope that explains pretty much everything I've been thinking about this past couple of weeks. I've been sort of stressing about kind of the weight of this podcast. I love doing this, and I'm excited to keep doing it because I like doing it. I just maybe wouldn't like doing it alone that much, because if I don't know, it just adds this kind of pressure, like, am I interesting enough? Is anyone gonna listen? Because I feel like, for me personally, I prefer to listen when it's two or more people talking and sort of creating this like a situation that feels like you're hanging out with your friends. So I'm hoping I'm able to somehow create that kind of thing back, even though I'm alone. So fingers crossed. But yeah, thanks for listening. I hope this sort of explained a little bit what I've been kind of going through in my mind these couple of weeks. And thanks for everyone who has been listening, commenting, just taking part in any way. It has been really fun, and I've been enjoying this very much. It was this sort of little light among all the darkness that was going on this past year. So yeah, thank you, and I will see you in the fall. And until then, keep your noses clean and your powder dry, as they say. See you in the fall.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Let's go!
Saturdays are for the
Saturday.
no.
God damn it.
It's another Saturday.
Oh my god! Oh, damn, you really went out.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Heartland. Oh my god, my mic.
Professionals. Connected. I think.
What the heck? Like, hey sir, excuse me? Hold on, I don't think that's I'm sorry, are we recording? I didn't know. Oh my god.
Okay guys, I'm about to show you what I'm talking about in every podcast for the last couple of weeks.
Heather, what do you want?
I don't know where Soile is. I don't know where she is. It's just me.
I don't know what kind of slander Izzy was trying to create with the previous story, but I was on time. 5 o'clock on the dot.
We are currently, well, we just finished filming and you can't hear her, but she's here. She's here. I don't know what you're doing.
I'm trying to.
Oh, I thought you were giving me the finger.
Your eyelids have to be really toned to push out the testosterone filled here.
Like your eyelids have to have abs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying basically.
No, but listen, I was the Walmart Jack. The Walmart to the Chanel Jack. That's what I was.
I'm like, dummies! I don't know if it...
I unplugged it. How is it ringing?
Now that you said that, I'm like...
I know, I'm about to fucking burst out laughing now.
Yeah, probably not.
No. No. No.
No?
No.
Isabel, Sarah!
If
These spot the difference games are getting hard.
it's the same picture.
Like, which one is the picture?
Yeah,
I
like,
don't know. Oh, that tastes really good.
What is it?
What is it? Water.
The tears of Thai fans?
My neck, my back, my anxiety attack.
Easy, you have to catch up. He's already ahead of you.
I don't even know English half the time. You want me to learn Finnish?
Oh no, Amy!
Taylor, that. I can't talk now.
It was
Terrible. No!
Did you stop? A woman.
No! Don't go there! No!
Just finished another episode of Heart to Heartland with Jenna, and oh yes, the queen herself.
Now, Mike,
Do you need to leave? No, you're just.
Yeah, I'm out of here. Sorry, bye.
If anyone on here hasn't already checked out the podcast that Soile and Isabel do, it's all things Heartland from a fan perspective, and it's awesome, so make sure you check that out.
Like, I think we should give some kind of advice for people to kind of like how about keep your nose clean?
Oh, and your powder dry, as they say.